And good morning to you, meteorologist Joey Sovine here at the Live 5 Alert Desk on our Thursday as we get ready to head toward the weekend. We are keeping a close eye on the tropics. We've been talking about this week that there was going to be a disturbance close to home that we needed to keep an eye on. Now, as we go through today actually in advance of this storm system, it's going to bring our best chance of rain that we'll see for the rest of this week. What's happening is we have a stalled front down in the south. This is an old frontal boundary, and if you leave these fronts this time of the year kind of stalled out with enough energy off the coastline out over those very warm waters that are sitting in the 80s, inevitably something eventually will start to spin up, and that's actually also due in response to a little bit of an upper level disturbance sliding in from the south and west. Those two will couple to start to develop an area of low pressure. We're already starting to see it a little bit this morning. In fact, let me hop over to the tropical tracker map with the chance of development here. And what we're looking at on this map, that X marks the spot that this disturbance is trying to develop right now. Now, this will be going basically due northward. So based on that track and the fact that the development, which we didn't know whether it would be closer to the coast or farther away, it's wound up being a little bit farther away as it looks right now, which means that we're not going to get a whole lot of impacts from this storm system as it slides by. Once again, today we're going to see some scattered downpours, but as we take a look at that track with that area of low pressure there moving northward, now as this moves northward, it could start to gain some tropical nature to it over time. So that may allow it to transition from a non-tropical low to what we call a subtropical low, which if it does become subtropical in nature, then it gets a designation as a subtropical depression or even becomes a named storm. If so, Ophelia is the name that would be used for this. Now, if Ophelia, or even if the National Hurricane Center thinks Ophelia is going to develop, they could issue tropical storm warnings up along the North Carolina coastline, maybe as far south as the Grand Strand. Now, this is, I would be shocked if they brought it down the coast any farther based on what we're seeing right now. But even though it would be subtropical, they still technically issue tropical storm warnings, which basically means could get winds up to 40, maybe 45, 50 miles per hour. We'll have to see how quickly this thing strengthens. Now, that doesn't really matter a whole lot for us, as it's going to be far enough off to the east that it, one way or the other, even if it wound up really tightly, really quickly, probably wouldn't come west enough to really change our weather a whole lot. But for folks up into North Carolina, really from up towards the Wilmington area, out towards the Outer Banks, that's where the worst of the weather is expected with that. So for today, we do expect scattered rain. There will be some downpours. We already had spots early this morning, like Sullivan's Island, over 4 inches of rain fell between about 1 and 3 o'clock. So there have been some downpours. There could be a few more downpours. Not everybody's going to get it today. And then once we get into tonight, as that area of low pressure develops off of our coastline, what will happen is that drier weather will start to move in to our area. So that will kind of shut off these downpours from moving in from the ocean that we'll get during the day. And we trend drier tonight with just a slight chance of rain. Now, let me take you to tomorrow morning. You can see that rain kind of gathering on the right-hand side of your screen. That is offshore. And that's where most of the rainfall should continue to be. Notice there's a sharp cutoff on this back side between rain and no rain at all. And I wouldn't even be surprised if this was a little bit farther north. So that's taking the bulk of this rainfall out of our area. Could a few showers be tossed back our direction Friday afternoon into Friday evening and overnight? That's a possibility. But even by Saturday morning, this is long gone. We are looking at this storm system well away from our area, moving up into North Carolina. And it looks like at that point, this will be, out of our neck of the woods. And really even the wind, let me show you the wind speeds with this as we take you through tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. You can see some of those wind gusts getting up to about 30 to 35, 40 miles per hour. Usually they're exaggerated a little bit. Once again, these are peak wind gusts, so these aren't gusts that you'll get all day that are going to be 30 to 40 miles per hour. So overall, it will be a breezy day tomorrow. It should be a mainly mainly dry day. We'll just keep an eye. Notice those purple shaded areas. That indicates where those wind gusts could be in excess of 50 miles per hour. Right now, this model showing that mainly up towards North Myrtle and then up into the Wilmington area. So less wind for us. Obviously, any shift to the west could increase our potential impacts here in the low country. But right now, I just don't see a whole lot for us out of this storm system. The bulk of the rainfall, notice what you see here as we take a look at the forecast. For a lot of you, you won't see these numbers change a whole lot after 5 o'clock. So for a lot of you, those downpours are going to be a possibility today. Where you see the purple and blue shaded areas, that's just the model trying to guess where the heaviest downpours will be. Now, in those areas, we could get 2, 3, 4 inches of rain today, but they're going to be widely scattered, not a widespread kind of deal. And then once we get into tonight, a lot of those rainfall totals, notice those numbers don't budge a whole lot, exception being Georgetown and then especially up towards Myrtle Beach, just a little bit closer to where that center would be, which will dictate who gets the heaviest rainfall. So right now, thinking is, once again, this thing will try to kind of spin up pretty quickly as it moves northward. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a subtropical system just because it's moving over some really warm waters. Area of low pressure will try to shed. It's kind of a feedback mechanism sourcing that really warm water to shed some of its cold nature to it that's causing it to develop into an area of low pressure and become more of what we call a warm core system. Won't be able to do that entirely because of its short kind of time limit that it has between now and moving into North Carolina on Saturday. So that is good news. It doesn't allow a lot of time for this to strengthen a whole lot, but it could become subtropical storm Ophelia. So don't be concerned that if later today, well, it wouldn't happen today, tomorrow sometime during the day, this thing becomes a subtropical system or tropical storm warnings. You start hearing those being issued for parts of, they like to lump in and say the Carolina coast, but you remember that we're only a small section of the Carolina coast, and that could easily mean just for North Carolina. So we'll keep you updated on that, let you know if anything changes. But once again, we do not expect substantial impacts at all out of this storm, and the weekend weather looks pretty good. I think we will get some sunshine kicking in pretty quickly on Saturday on the backside of it. Nice breeze, comfortable temperatures around 80, and then we'll be up in the mid 80s on Sunday. That's a look at what's going on here in the Live 5 Alert Desk. We'll keep you updated. Don't forget, download the Live 5 First Alert Weather app for continuous updates. You can check out the forecast any there on the go. Just search Live 5 Weather in your app store. Have a good day.